Hello, YouTube, and welcome to another exciting episode of Slotted In There. It's the third episode of a series, and you know what they say, all good things come in free, so hopefully this is going to be a cracking episode. And to get the three parts together, the Triforce, you will, of life of this episode together, I need two other people. So here's Tim and Damien.
Hello.
Hello.
How have we been this week, gentlemen?
Bloody
Peachy, never
marvellous.
better.
Peach never better. Good to see. Have you heard any good stories this week, gentlemen? Before we get going, any stories to start the episode?
Sadly not. No, I live under a rock.
Live under a rock. Well, let me share a story that I found out this week for you. So basically, I found a story about this husband that's suing Apple because he basically was texting his prostitute on his phone, his Apple iPhone, and was deleting the messages thinking it was fine. But because he'd signed into his cloud, it was appearing on their home Mac at home. So his wife saw all the messages. And he's now suing Apple because, he thought, well, if I've deleted off my phone, it should be deleted. And he's taken them to court all over that because if he'd been able to tell his wife that he was seeing a prostitute in the correct manner instead of finding out, he thinks that would have saved his marriage and they wouldn't have had a divorce and everything. So he's suing Apple over that. I mean, what do you think to that story?
So he's an idiot who frequents prostitutes, and his solution to that is to sue Apple.
Sue Apple, yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. Seems legit.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's probably a case of two bad apples there, really, isn't it? But there you go.
It's the core of the matter.
Let's get into the episode. Okay, so we're into This Week in Gaming, where we obviously talk about the games we've each played this week, talk a little about it, and try and sell them to you. See if you'd like them, or maybe show you if you wouldn't like them, really. You're looking and go, that's terrible, awful. So we're doing a service in some way or the other. Gentlemen, I'll start it first this week, I feel. And the game I've been playing is a very short game, but an absolutely brilliant one called Brothers. So this game starts on a bad note, as most stories do, with one of the brothers mourning the loss of their mother, and then you find out your father's quite sick that the other brother's been tending to, but he's pretty terminal. You need a cure. But luckily, because it's a fancy adventure, there is a cure that could be found up in the mountains. So the two brothers decide to go off on an adventure to see if they can find the cure to save their father. And it's a really good game. It's quite short, which I like about it. It's about 3 hours, 4 hours max to do. And I sort of came away thinking it's a bit like a film, really. It's not an on-rails thing. You obviously do stuff, but the sort of plot scenes and the bits you see as you go along and the characters you meet felt very much like a fantasy film. And it was really interesting, actually, when you listen to the commentary, that the person who made it was actually a filmmaker before, sort of used to making films. So it's very good in that sense. You'll have that sort of feel. And as you'd mentioned, I imagine in any sort of fantasy film, you'd meet these certain different characters as you go along and have these really good set pieces. So it's a great little game to go along with. The brilliant thing about this game is the way it controls is that one side analog stick to move and it is one brother and the other one's the other brother. So you have to sort of move them at the same time, which can be a bit weird to get used to. But when you actually get into it and playing the game and the flow of it, it's a very unique system. And one of the brilliant things about it is you really think like your arms chopped off at one point because they get separated, so you just end up with one brother for a short period, and you just feel like your arms have been chopped off. It's really weird from a control system. It's a very cool mechanic, and well worth just trying it out for that to see how it works and plays, because it's a thing you have to experience. It's lovely. It's a lovely game. It's beautifully designed. It's got lots of little puzzles in it to do, and you could just sit and stare at the scenery. The beautiful scenery all around you. There's little chairs you can sit on as you go along, so you can stare at the scenery or look at a giant dead corpse of a giant, as you do, just lying about and as you travels before you carry on to hopefully be victorious and get this cure for your father. You'll have to see. But it's a brilliant game, and one I really recommend you should all try. It's on Game Pass, I think, at the moment, and it's usually quite cheap in sales. It's only a short one, but it's a brilliant game to experience. So it's an absolutely brilliant game, I think, guys. What do you two think? Have you ever seen it before or played it?
I haven't personally.
I've seen it before. I've never played it. I didn't know that the control mechanism was one thumb is one brother and the other thumb is the other brother. That I think I'd have a tough time getting my head wrapped around it. I'm sure it becomes intuitive after a time, but no, I don't know.
You're
Higher
right.
brain function.
It is a bit. Yeah, it takes you a minute, and when you get into it, then it becomes quite natural. But yeah, if you go off and play another game for a bit and come back, you're a bit like, ooh, again.
I was
all
gonna
that
say,
lot.
I suppose there was once upon a time when all your character movements were done on one stick, and then of course they introduced a camera to the other stick, so your movements are on one stick, but you swing the camera, and the camera will change the movement of the character. That took me a while to get used to when that control system first became prevalent. So I suppose, yeah, maybe I could adapt.
Yeah, and like I said in the video, there's a sort of one bit you sort of like you the brothers are separated in one part of the story, and it feels like a total loss because you're just only controlling one side, and you're like it's like your arms have been chopped off. It's very weird, but it's very good for that. It's a brilliant sort of technique and
Like
thing to do.
you've accidentally left your house without your mobile phone. That feeling.
Well, yeah.
You know what that
It's
feels
one
like?
way of
It's the
looking at
worst
it, but
feeling ever.
How long did it take you to get used to that control system though?
It didn't take very long. Like I say, you could probably play the whole game in one sitting. It is only about 3 hours long, 3 to 4 hours, depending how good you are, obviously, at little puzzles that are in it. But after about 5-10 minutes, you're really into the control system. It wasn't hard, but like I say, if you go off and play another game and then come back to it, it takes you a few minutes to get into it again. But yeah, highly recommended game from my end, I feel. And like I say, it's a nice short one if you want that. So who would like to go next? Their game.
Tim.
I'll go next.
Tim.
Well, this week I have been playing a game that isn't maybe as short as that, really, because it just has so much replayability, which is FTL. FTL is a ship management game. Now, it looks fairly simple off the bat, but actually, that's misleading. This is a very, very difficult game to play. First of all, you have to choose your path as you navigate forward through the environment. The whole time you're going to be chased, so you need to move fairly quickly. If you visit a shop, you'll be presented with options to buy and sell parts, including various upgrades for your ship, weapons, crew, fuel, missiles, and drone parts. When you engage in a battle with another ship, you'll have to make decisions about what subsystems to target. For example, here, I'm going to target their weapons and their shields because I want to do the most damage that I can by taking their shields down and then disabling their weapons so that I take less damage. Different parts of the screen show different pieces of information. For example, the hull strength in the top left, the amount of scrap you've collected, the FTL drive charge, the condition of your crew, weapons, and subsystems. The game is procedurally generated, and you'll encounter all sorts of different problems, such as this crew that have decided to board my ship, so I now have to fight them off. And while that's going on, a whole bunch of my ship has been set alight. You can actually pause during the game to issue new commands or change things like opening doors. So I'm opening these doors to vent the air out of the ship to put out the fire. Sometimes your opponents will attempt to surrender. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to not accept their surrender and keep the attack going. Closing the doors will repressurize the hull. Here's another example of a fire, except this time I'm using an automated bot to put out the fire and repair the hull. You'll often be presented with choices, and depending on the crew and subsystems you have available, you might get additional possibilities, such as 3 and 4 here, that allow me to do something a bit different. As the game progresses, it will get dramatically harder, and sometimes you'll end up in situations where your ship is more or less overwhelmed. And despite your best efforts, you'll end up in a game over situation.
To be fair, that isn't my idea of a long time play game. I'd probably get bored with it in about 10 minutes.
Loads of
Yeah,
Steam Workshop stuff.
yeah, I felt the same. It probably bore me. It wasn't as action paced for me. The turn based sort of attacking the ship and then reading text and doing choices. It's like reading a text based story in some aspects, but I'm sure it isn't. But
You
it seemed
you
like
would
that.
you would think that it was, but it really is, because it's a puzzle. Every single fight, every single situation is a puzzle. So every time you get into a situation you can't handle, you can pause it and you can issue commands and make up your mind about what is going to happen next. But every single time you do that, you create a new puzzle, and it's an ever evolving series of puzzles that are just layered one on top of the other. It doesn't look like it from the gameplay immediately, but that's basically what it is. It's a sort of puzzle ship management thing. Plus, of course, you've got all the mods. There's so many. There's whole forums on it, and people make their own. And because the code's relatively simple, you can get a decompiler and you can edit different things in the code yourself. If you want to get into a little bit of game design, it's a great place to go. Just pick up that game, decompile the code, make some changes, recompile it, and play it. It's a brilliant way to learn a little bit about just how to make a simple sort of 8-bit style game.
I think I'd
So
probably prefer that to actually playing it.
I know. In
should
conclusion,
try
it
it.
sounds like a text based novel that I then have to code myself. So you're not really selling it to me there, Tim. I have to say, but I'm sure it's good for some
It-
people. So
It is one of the best games I have ever played. And trust me, if you play it, you will be addicted.
I'm not going to play it. Anyway, Damien, on to your choice.
This week, I've been playing the game Cryptarch. Cryptarch by Alien Trap, an indie-developed game in the 2D sci-fi roguelike shooter category. Featuring procedurally generated space hulks, you have to board and then neutralize the system's central core to salvage the starship and earn income for your privateering enterprise. Failure to do so will end up with a loss of investment and profit. However, to help you succeed, you can upgrade your weapons and improve your equipment along the way. This twin-stick game has fairly impressive visuals and a soundtrack to boot, and will keep you alert and on your toes with every playthrough. Though sometimes the screen gets a little hectic and some explosions may stretch further than you think.
Critical.
The controls cater for both keyboard and mouse or a controller, depending on how you like to game, and you don't need a Goliath machine to play this either. On the whole, I generally enjoyed this game. There's artifacts to find, some strategy needed, and plenty of varied enemies to contend with, along with the security system to disable and obstacles that need to be surpassed. It's also worth noting that ammunition does run out.
Machine gun ammunition depleted.
I don't think I'd recommend this at full price, but wait till a Steam sale comes about to pick it up. But it's a decent game that has plenty of replayability.
Looking at that game, it looks a little bit like FTL to me. I don't know.
No, it's-
it just seems like
No,
it just
No.
seems
No,
seems
it's
like you're
totally
stealing my
different.
ideas.
No,
It's-
it's totally
it's-
different. There is no
it's-
micromanagement. You have to basically manage your ammunition and everything. Make sure you're not close to all the blasts. The visually, for what it is, it's quite entertaining. You get engrossed with it. As for the amount of time you can probably play it in one go, I personally didn't stick to it. It's like half an hour blast, put it down, went back to it a bit later, another half an hour to an hour. It wasn't something I could sit there and play for hours on end, but visually brilliant. The stimulation with all the music and all the explosions, fantastic. The gameplay is quite silky smooth as well. Brilliant for what it
yeah,
is.
it did look really good to me as well. Yeah, I really like that 2D sort of shooter sort of vibe going on. It was really good. There was no text-based stuff in it at all. I really liked it. Is it a sort of multiplayer game as well? Because I think that looks really cool if it had a multiplayer bit on as well to play with friends.
It does have extra parts to it, which I didn't actually delve into because I was too engrossed with playing it on my own. So I believe there is a function for multiplayer on it.
Cool.
Both your games look rubbish, and I think the chat is going to agree with me.
So 2 good games this episode, but can't win them all, can we?
Is this thing on?
I think Tim's got a moment of silence there. He's just obviously thinking and sulking about the choice he made this week.
Yeah. Right, so now we come to the part of the show called What the Tech, where we look at some brilliant technology invention from the past or the present that hopefully you can probably go out and buy. So we can show you something good and you go, that's amazing, because it's going to be amazing tech, isn't it? Obviously, that we're showing, and you can probably go and buy it. So, yeah. So shall I bring it up for this week, gentlemen?
Bring it on.
I'm still waiting on the alarm clock.
There we go, gentlemen. What do you think to that image?
Looks like a car wash to me.
Car wash, yeah.
At the car wash. It looks like more of a device to sort French fries.
That's a good one, yep.
Or cheese strings, or straws, depending.
Stand them up in it, couldn't you, yeah?
It looks like some kind of duster to me. Is it like a robot window cleaner or something?
It could be. So far, we've got a chip sorter, fry sorter, or a robot duster. So, shall I give you the options, guys? Let's have a look what we've got. So, is it a new design range by Swedish fashion designer Hodeko? I can't even say the name, Hodekova, where they use kitchen products to make new designer clothes. So, might work in Tim's favour there. A new initiative in a local council building for wall-based cutlery cleaning after staff kept stealing the sponges. Leaning a bit more towards Damien's idea of chip tidy up in it. Is it a onesie put on by babies to help mop the floor?
I'm taking C. I think it's C.
That's what I should say.
It would be good with that because then you have a reason to have children.
Well, I mean, I think you're segregating a lot of the audience there. Really, is that's the only reason to have children? But yes,
I genuinely think that I genuinely think that the fashion industry is stupid enough that they would do something like, yeah, we're going to use kitchen products to make new designer clothes. For sure. I've seen Zoolander. I know what the fashion industry's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you put the kid in a onesie, you can just like curl them across the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Can you just?
Well, if you're curling them across the kitchen, then somebody's got to run ahead of the baby, sweeping the floor anyway. So
no, just let them flail about. They'll do it themselves. It's fine. And then they'll crawl back. Do it again, Daddy. Do it again. Yep. Away they go. I think that is that. It's got to be that. It's genius.
So
when does pushing a baby with your foot become kicking a baby?
When they're not wearing.
When you're pushing's fine. You're not kicking. it's the act. So you're not tempted by B then? A new initiative for basic cutlery cleaning? No. Even though, okay, fair enough. So what are we going for then? So Tim, are you going for A? Are you going for the designer? And Damien, you're going for C?
Absolutely.
I can reveal the answer is. It is C. It's a onesie put on by babies to help mop the floor. Yes,
yeah,
indeedy.
boy.
And as you can see, it looks very good. You can just dress your child up in this, and they can happily crawl along your floor, doing a bit of cleaning.
Why are all of these things baby related?
I don't think last week's was no, last week's
no, last week's wasn't. The first one wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one was.
Basically, the great idea is you get one of those, you let the kid do the mopping and everything else, then you put them in that outdoor cage for them to dry off.
Yeah, I mean,
win-win.
I mean, we're building a practical lifestyle here through technology.
How are you supposed to clean your floor if you don't have a baby? I mean, I suppose you could just get somebody really drunk and get an adult-sized one, couldn't you?
Well, this is when you go to, your friends that have children. You're like, yeah, bring them round. Bring your new baby round. Let me just slot them in this. We'll have a cuppa. They can crawl around the floor. It'd be great. Love it. So, yeah. So you can definitely buy these. go on the internet and buy one if you want. Yeah, say you just need a child not included. There you go. And that was what the tech for this week. Hooray!
Oh my god, this gets worse every week.
So, the topic of discussion this week, gentlemen, is should video games be prescribed to help with illnesses? So, we sort of know at the moment that there's quite a few games out there at the moment that sort of deal with mental health conditions and sort of highlight those areas. Um, but do you feel that maybe we could get to the stage that someone's designed some computer games to help with other illnesses and help as a way of obviously healing through an injury or something? That we get to the case of doctors maybe prescribing these games instead of giving us drugs and all that lot. They go, "Hey, your prescription is this £50 computer game or whatever. Go off and have a play of that to help you." What do we think?
Well, personally, I think it's an excellent idea. I don't know if there have been any studies that have been done into this or how much information there is out there on the benefits of doing it. But certainly, in the case of if you've got somebody that has difficulty with mobility, why not VR? And with the way certainly things like AI are going, and I mean, I don't know if anybody else has seen it was like a Matrix AI smart NPC demo. So you can literally walk up to any NPC on the street and strike up a conversation with them in real time. Well, sort of real time. There's sometimes a little bit of a delay, but if you've got mobility issues, you can't get out of the house. If we can get VR to the state where you can have a sort of walk around in some sort of Unreal Engine 5 game and have conversations with NPCs, even if there aren't real people around, you have a sense of having some company. You have an environment that you can move around in when you can't move around in the real world. I think that's an excellent idea, personally.
And one of the studies, like I haven't got it to hand, but I'm sure if you Google it on the internet, is one they had over in America. Did a small study on a group of children that had cancer, and it was obviously they gave them this game to play, and it's a little game where you just go around and you have to kill white blood cells. I think it is more go around and shoot some cells anyway, basically. But the idea behind it was it taught the children of how they have to make sure they kill these cells or like look after themselves. They don't have too many of these cells in their body to upset them and balance it. And it sort of basically started to teach them all about how to look after the body themselves, eating healthily, etc., in those sort of ways. So it was a quick general study, and it seemed to help students. And like I say, they gave the game away free. So could the same sort of happen? I suppose, as an example, in Britain, there is a case of like obesity generally, unfortunately, in our sort of population. So it's like things of instead of giving them diet pills or all these things, could we give them a computer game that's obviously teaching them how to eat healthily or something? Is that a better way to get through to people? We could prescribe potentially.
It's got
That I don't
benefits
know.
there. It's got possible benefits. Definite push, especially with the younger generation because they're on their iPads and everything else. And having something like that so they can learn simple, basic things, nutritional value of foods to look after themselves. There's loads of benefits from this. Good health and hygiene guides and the reasons behind it, all interactive. It's only going to be beneficial if they're actually willing to participate and use it. I think the biggest problem is, are they willing to participate and actually use it? Whereas they'll use the drugs because it's simplistic. You just pop it and away you go.
Yeah, fair point, fair point. And I mean, like I say, I think it's the issue we have at the moment, isn't it? Because there's like films out there, isn't it? You could even prescribe and like is it like a good one's like Inside Out, isn't it? And you have all those different emotions, and I know that's helped certain children, isn't it? Accept how their emotions are in certain states. So you don't see the doctors going, yeah, go and get your copy DVD or whatever Blu-ray of Inside Out or your Disney Plus subscriptions, so
Oh,
you can watch that. So that form of media. So would it be like, do we think we could ever get to a state of like potentially a game that's interactive or like say even VR, like Tim was saying, that they prescribe that to go and do that and pay for that out of the NHS, knowing that'd be a good way of doing it rather than give people lots of drugs, which obviously have different side effects, even if not now, but later in life, isn't it? If you're taking lots of drugs.
I think this will probably be a horses for courses kind of environment where For instance, the VR effect, like Tim was saying earlier, if you've got somebody that's got agoraphobia, don't want to go outside, VR could push them to the point where it becomes normalized for them to go out.
Exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of possible things, even to the point of some of the veterans that have come back from war and they're wounded in a way where they now can't be the soldier that they once were. VR could probably give them an outlie for that kind of thing, so they can still go and do shooting ranges and that kind of thing. I think as long as there's additional social interaction with it as well, so you can get to meet other people through the technology, the VR chat kind of stuff. I think it's got severe benefits. A lot could be pushed with it, but I don't think it's going to be available to cure everything for everybody.
Well, I was going to say, I think one of the big problems is that the nature of a video game is escapism.
Mm-hmm.
It is to remove. So, from my, or at least from my mind, I would say that I play video games because I want to escape, not because I want to learn how to eat the correct diet. And if we sort of look at the video games that, like an example, we did a play along of Left 4 Dead 2 recently. Now, does that make me better at surviving zombie apocalypses? I don't know that it would do, but it's a lot of fun, and I feel like I've had a good time after I've played it. So that lift in mood is really the therapy that it's providing. I don't know that people will take on board into their real lives things like what a video game is trying to teach you. At the end of the day, we don't go to the cinema to watch public health announcements. We go to the cinema because we want to watch cars explode.
Fair point. Fair point. So drugs all the way for you then, Tim, is it?
Oh yeah, I'm on them now.
All the drugs.
All the drugs. Well, from the NHS anyway, when you're poorly or something like that. So, no, I think it's an interesting topic, and obviously we've covered a lot. So what we'd like to hear from you, dear viewers, is put your thoughts down in the comments down below. Please have a bit of interaction on this. What do you think on the topic? Do you think the health service would prescribe games? Like I say, there is some mental health sort of games out there, but I don't think they even prescribe for that, or they might suggest some more open-minded doctors. But yeah, put yourself and comments down below, bit of interaction, chatty, and always, like I say, we can obviously respond to them in the chats below, or we'll do a response video if we get enough sort of feedback.
It's your letters, it's your letters, it's your letters, it's your letters.
Well, it's that time of the episode where we take on a viewer's letter, and to do that, we're going to hand it over to the one mystical man himself, where some say he played rock, paper, scissors in the mirror and won, and others say he can start fires by rubbing 2 ice cubes together. But all we know is he's the games meister.
Well, hello there, boys. Loving the episode so far? Anyway, on to this week's Letter of the Week. And this week, our author is undecided as to whether he should stay in the spa and weight loss industry or think of something new to do with his life. Let's find out. On to the letter. Hello, slot it in there, guys. I'm a long-time watcher of your series and have finally plucked up courage to write in. I have a dilemma I would appreciate your assistance with, and believe you can clear up the choice I have barreling around. I used to own and operate a very lucrative spa facility in London many years ago, offering a personal one-to-one treatment regime using the finest sulfur-based products and featuring a second-to-none weight loss program. But sadly, and to my disappointment, it was closed down due to health and safety reasons. Since its forced closure, I've not been in a good place. My wife, Betty, left me and I became a heavy gambler, which left me destitute. However, I have managed to turn this around and I'm now in a more positive place and focused on the future. I have worked for Her Majesty, and this was educational, and gifted me with a lot of time for self-reflection, which got me back on the straight and narrow. However, it left me hanging and feeling dead inside. But this, I believe, is because I'm feeling more confident about myself, and I now wish to once again be my own boss. I have managed to acquire enough money to restart my venture in the spa industry, and I realise where I went wrong with my initial endeavours, such as not having adequate drainage, etc., which I won't let happen again. My question to you is, should I take that leap back into the personal spa experience again, or should I try something different? Waiting in anticipation, John George. Well, there you have it, boys. What should our author do? Should he continue in the weight loss industry and the spa facilities? Or should he cast his ideas further aside and branch out into something new? Only you can decide. And this week, you will be deciding by playing the game Overcooked. But who will be playing? All of you. Yes, all of you. You will need to complete level 1-1 with a minimum of 3 stars. You will be serving onion soup to your customers, and you will need to act as a team to achieve this. Good luck. You will need it. Cook!
Well, that's quite a dilemma. Do you take up an old system of being a spa guru, or do you remain in the current employ and state of being at His Majesty's pleasure? Boys, what do you think?
Well, yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? But I mean, if he enjoyed that in the first place, doing the spa treatments, and it was really good. I know we can all fall on hard times, some businesses and everything. But yeah, maybe you should go back to that if you really enjoyed it. And a lot of people got some, nice relaxing times out of it. What do you
Dead
think?
good. Dead good service that he gave.
Yeah, there's that.
Well,
There's that.
To run a comparison with computers, I'm all for reviving the old machine. So yeah, I'm going to agree with Chris. Go back to your roots.
Well, I'll agree with the pair of you and go with this. Looks like all we have to do is play the game, and let's hope we get the right outcome for him.
Bring the havoc.
Ready, go. Right.
Well, I've
so
got
we
onion.
need to chop an onion. There's a chopping board over there.
Yeah, okay. Somebody, I'm grabbing this onion and I'll go straight for the furthest chopping board.
Right, so we need 3 onions, is it, to go in the pot?
Yeah.
Right, let's put it in the pot.
I'll grab another one then.
Oh, sugar. In the pot.
Chop, 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 chop.
Get it in the pot, get it in the pot. Right, we're going to do lots of onions, so we might as well just get more onions.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'll drop the onions here. So if you drop the onions on this side, then I can pick them up.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
clever.
there we go. Faster.
Right, the food's done, so let's plate it up because it's cooked. It's going to burn otherwise. Yes, don't want it to burn. Right, and then
Chop, chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop.
Take the order over. 1 order done. Lovely.
Oh, I'm loving this. Come on. Where's me onions? Ooh, dirty
plates. Need
plates.
to be washed up in the sink. Okay,
I've got it.
plate. You doing onions?
Yeah, well, I was doing onions.
Oh,
now
the system's
I'm
gone to what's it now? Oh, right, okay.
Right.
Soup's nearly done. We need a plate.
Oh, I'm a legend. I'm going to dish this one out. Incoming.
You are
Get it
such
on,
a
get it on,
dish.
get it cooking.
Oh, I keep walking away from onion.
Right, I'll go and wash that plate because otherwise we won't have a plate. Get out of the way!
You're in my way. I was here first.
Oh, the soup's nearly done and I haven't got
I'm
a
being
plate.
stupid.
Right, here we go. Plate. Get it off. Get it on. I'm a dishing. Here we go. There we go.
I walked away from it and it's not finished chopping. Here we go. Come on.
Okay, I'll finish.
I'll get some more onions.
Yeah, it is. It's all chopped. All right, I'll wash up because
Okay, you wash up.
onions there.
Today.
All right. Yeah, you
Today.
you do the old cooking there.
There's another plate. I'll take that plate round. You get
chop,
cooking
chop,
on.
chop.
There we
Chop,
go.
chop, dig, dig, dig.
System.
Look at
Okay,
this.
I need to put
This
that
is a
back.
system.
I don't know.
None of
this
us
is
are
a
doing what we
system,
said
but
we were
it's-
going to do.
Nope.
Nope.
Nor do
That's how
I
normal
care.
kitchen works, isn't it? Right, I'll wash that plate. Look at this. We're cleaning. Okay, there's another plate. I'll take that plate out. Dun, dun, dun.
Look at us. It's like we're seasoned trained professionals.
I mean,
Oh, this
we're
is
just like...
this is easy. I thought this
Alright,
was
I'm
going to
gonna
be
wash
hard.
this plate. There's a plate there to dish up.
I could just do this all day long. Ugh.
I'll dish that up now. How much time have we got left? 30 seconds, so let's try and speed this up and get...
Come on.
All right,
Come
I'm
on.
coming around the other side.
So we can probably get 2 soups out probably at this one. I'll wash this plate. Then we
That's
get you another
You'll make-
plate. But I think this is probably... Right, we've got 15 seconds to just concentrate on that one soup. That's all we've got to do.
You'll make a
One.
great
That's-
house husband, Chris.
10, 9... Go...
It's not going to cook in time.
Nah,
Serve it cold.
Is
Let's
that
go.
enough? How many do we need?
Oh, sugar. Ah.
Time's up.
Time's up. Did we do it? 3 stars? Yeah!
Was there any doubt?
Never.
Was there
any
any
doubt.
doubt?
That's
I mean-
easy.
We were a
Teamwork.
lean machine there. It was great.
What was the Games Meister thinking, giving us that? Phew.
Well, I think that was a great performance, guys. What do you think? We were pretty good.
I don't think we could have done it any better. It was
There was
didn't
never
really.
any doubt.
No, I mean it was great teamwork, and I think we pretty much smashed that stereotype that men are bad at cooking. I mean, just look
and
at
we
that.
multitasked. We multitasked with these.
It was just
We didn't forget a roll. We got it all sorted. Smashed it.
easy, wasn't it? Easy peasy.
Well, in fact, we did so well at it. We carried on and did an extra couple of levels, so we might be releasing those in the not too near future.
Yeah, they might have been not as good, but you'll have to wait and see on that one. But that means anyway, we won the challenge, and that means the lovely John George gets to go back in to the lovely spa business and making people feel dead happy with themselves.
Totally chuffed with himself, getting back into the habit of, providing people bubbles.
Once
Have a
again,
barrel of
gaming
laugh.
solves everything.
We've done it, and the only way we know how.
So there we are. We're at the end of another exciting show, and I think that triforce of the 3 of us came together. It was lovely energy. We solved some great problems through gaming as always. We discussed the hard topics everybody wants, and we saw 2 out of 3 good games for you to play. So all we need to remember is,
Yeah, point the right way, Chris. I'm looking the wrong way. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below.
And then also tickle the bell so you're reminded of every other time that we upload any future videos.
lovely gentlemen, and like last time, I thought I'd like to try and end the show with a very inspiring quote from one of the brilliant technology people of the past in history. And this one comes from Clarence Leonard Kelly Johnson. He was an American aeronautical and system engineer whose influence on aircraft design is unquestionable, because he did loads of design to tail fins and everything, and lots of planes throughout history. And his great quote that he came up with to inspire is, "Keep it simple, stupid." Can't go wrong with that, can you? You take all that home and digest it. And on that blue screen of death, that is the end of the show. And we will see you next time. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.